half a month. Actually, that I think again. So we are back with another session. We will be looking forward to another informative and really exciting session. For just like the Privilege Exploration, we will be looking forward to the Windows Privilege Exploration. So before let's have a short section for our new attendees who were not there. Thank you, sir. He's a cybersecurity. So he has been working in 5 years and is currently working as a cybersecurity consultant, senior consultant in EY on the red, we can say as a team. So he is a public speaker, multiple conferences and events, and he has expertise in various cybersecurity domains and gold certifications like OSCP, OSWE, OSEP. He also has authored several articles and courses that are available online. Ventus had a vast range of expertise which is visible all over multiple CVs listed from Microsoft and much more such reputed organizations. We are glad to have you here. So without further ado, let's handing the session over to you. And you can take the question.
All right. So thanks for having me here. It's been quite long. I remember that. And sorry everyone for the last session cancellation for and I was really not well and not in the situation I was able to take the further sessions. So yeah, no problem. So as the last topic was on the Linux privilege escalation, we'll be moving ahead with the Windows and the Windows related privilege escalation vulnerability. On top of it, I'll just gonna include some sort of basic things like gaining access as well along with the privilege escalation, because that is another important topic. And trust me, another session would be totally on the practical approach, and I'll not gonna go much with the theoretical and PPTs. Of course, PPTs are required just for quick visions, visuals and all, but it's not something necessary because we are moving towards all the practical and practical related things. So that being said, let me quick start today's talk by just a quick introduction. What our guy, this Faizan already explained about me, like myself, Rikun Sindwar. He just misplaced my name. I'm sure he'll gonna able to reconsider next time, but no worries. Yeah, so I'm working with the ENY Ernst and Young from it's like 6 or 7 months working as a red and blue team. Red and blue team is like a middle chain that can communicate with the red team who are the offensive and the blue team who are the defensive. So we are like a middle chain of having a communication, having a technology understanding, having a knowledge of each other like that, and yeah, so on and so forth. I have been cybersecurity researcher from like quite beginning of my time. So initially, I started all with the researchers and kind of thing, where I got multiple CVs. Couple of articles has been published by me. You can just search my name and you're gonna get all the details. Of course, it's easy as that. OSEP, OSW, and OSCP certifications is what my I can say jewels, and of course certificates are nothing but a jewelries. So those are jewels I do do I have like that. And yeah, I have been actively sharing all the knowledge that I do have uh, through a particular medium, that is YouTube. And you can go and just navigate to the Robensive and you're gonna find all the things. Apart from that, along with all the video kind of thing, I do also have a website or a blog kind of thing or a Git book specific where I do document all those stuff that I showcase or that what all I post on my YouTube channel. So that's being said, that's a quick and not so quick introduction for me. And yeah, that might you already aware if you were in my last session. So that's being said, let's quickly move towards agenda. What we're gonna do for today, we will have a little introduction, and I'm assuming if you are from this particular community, then you must aware with the basic concepts of those kind of cybersecurity environment and domain. Then I'll not gonna consider that to be in scope, and I assume that you would have that type of knowledge. I'll start with introduction, a quick introduction of what is privilege escalation and so on and so forth. What is type of privilege escalation and see. Then we're gonna move towards gaining initial access, where we will going to have a real world similar to real world a lab that we will going to perform an attack like starting from nmap. We're gonna do perform a scan activity, then we will do the further things like enumeration, do further things like gaining access, then we will going to do the privilege escalation. Of course, this particular topic is just the privilege escalation, but I thought let's just include other things as well as part of your learning objective. So yeah, for the privilege escalation, we're gonna use multiple scripts, multiple tools that are already available publicly, and I'll just give you an overall idea. Like this is what tools you have, and this is what you can use for your whatever the routine is or whatever the task is, right? Apart from that, performing privilege escalation is what we're gonna do. So I'll choose any one of the identified possible privilege escalation. I'm gonna use those and abuse it or exploit it to gain a full-fledged privilege escalated access on a particular machine, and that will be on a Windows environment. And last but not the least, I'm gonna discuss a little bit about mitigation, as there are, I can say, more than n number of privilege escalation possibility. I won't be able to explain each and every mitigation, but the one that we will going to perform escalation, I'll gonna give you a fully working mitigation for the same. So if I get a time, I'll gonna include that mitigation part by just navigating to that system, patching that particular thing, and we're gonna see if we can have this particular exploit working like that. But it is only if we get a time. So that's it for this agenda part, and let's move towards the actual practical concepts. Perfect. So, introduction to privilege escalation is the same slide what we had in our Linux version. So, privilege escalation is a term used to describe gaining unauthorized access to something like a computer system and gaining more control than what is typically allowed. It is like someone got access to your computer, and through your computer, they are able to do like delete of your operating. They can delete your operating system. They can do various of action. They can even see your browser history and whatnot. They might gonna have more access that what they typically should have allowed to. Like they can change password for an example, correct? And this is not something quite common like that if you have just a user access. So the initial access would be not just by someone inserting a USB device or something. It might be through some services that we will gonna look further in the demonstration or the demo part. So don't worry at the moment. This is possible due to weakness or a vulnerability in the system that allows someone to bypass security measures and gain additional power. Of course, this is what the sentence says. So it is because of any weaknesses, misconfiguration, or any vulnerability that your operating system do have. If your operating system is vulnerable to something, then an attacker or a hacker can do abuse or exploit that particular misconfiguration or particular feature, functionality, or a software service in order to gain the privileged access. Example would be log into website. This is for a web application. Log into website with someone's account. If you are able to log in to a particular web application with someone else's account, if you do not have their credential or something, right? maybe it's you can consider it with the IDOR if you are aware. If you are not, just Google about IDOR and you're gonna get an overall idea. So it's kind of privilege escalation. Running software or a program through administrator. So you might have used Windows OS. You right click to a software, you run as administrator, and it's type of a privilege escalator. You are escalating your privileges and saying that, hey, computer, I want this program to be running as a administrator. Running software program through root account, and it's for the Linux environment. So yeah, with the sudo or with the su, you run any program through the root account or the higher privilege account. And this is what another example for the Linux, Windows, and web application. It could be more for the other environments, but it all depends. So this is what the types of privilege escalation. I'm not sure. This is because of I have converted this PPT from PPT to this Google PPT kind of thing. So for which reason this color coding doesn't work here. But no worries at all. At least it is visible a little bit typed. So yeah. So when it comes to a privilege escalation, there are two types of privilege escalation. What you see here in the horizontal line, that is called as a horizontal privilege escalation. I'll explain in a bit. What you see in the vertical line is what the vertical privilege escalation. Horizontal privilege escalation is when two similar privilege user got access to each other. For an example, I have logged into a particular site as a standard user. I am able to perform an activity through someone account that has limited access. So that is what I can say a horizontal privilege escalation. When it comes to a user able to be administrator or able to perform any action behalf of administrator, that is what the vertical privilege escalation, because yeah, we are extending our privileges, it's not equal here. So for that reason it will gonna be considered as a vertical privilege escalation. A short sample, that is what I have included here. So this is command prompt. I am just holding a shift and right click, and you'll find two different options. First one is run as a different user. So let's assume that there is a user A, there is a user B. User A, just right click, run as different user, type user B's username or password or something, if of course that user have, and then it able to execute something through user B. And this type of privileges are the horizontal privileges, means user A will gonna have identical privileges to the user B. Similar to what the second screenshot, what you see here is run as administrator. What does it means? It explains, right? I want this program to be running as a administrator. An administrator or a root is the privileged account in your Windows OS. So if you are trying to, let's say, delete something sensitive from any sensitive directory or any privileged directory, then it asks, I need permission for administrator to do this particular activity because that is related to privileged task. And this is what all we're gonna use in order to understand the further privilege escalation process and sort of things. So that's being said, for the Q&A, I'll keep a little time frame at the end. So at that time, you feel free to ask any question. However, if you still think that you want to ask something in middle, just drop the message. And whenever I pause for a moment, Faizan will gonna read those whatever the comments you had, and we're gonna proceed further. So that's being said, let's move towards totally technical part. So now we're not gonna move towards PPT things, but we're gonna more focused on the practical part. So the first and most important when it comes to privilege escalation is the initial access. Without initial access, what type of privilege escalation you're gonna do? So it requires at least some type of privileges in your hand, or your machine must be compromised. Without compromising a particular machine, it's not possible. So yeah, this is what I have written. Initial access is necessary to perform privilege escalation task. For the initial access, we're gonna take a small demo of one of the case study. Once we have the initial access, we can perform enumeration to identify vulnerabilities that can allow us to do privilege escalation. So we're gonna starting with totally blind approach. Let's say I have an IP address. I have an IP address of particular victim account, and I'm gonna start with the total basic things like scanning with Nmap and so on thing. So that's being said, I'll gonna quickly move toward my terminal. I hope my terminal is visible to everyone. Let me just put it aside. And yeah, that's
Yes,
perfect.
it is.
All right. Thanks for the confirmation. Here we go. So my victim IP address would be 10.0.0.20. Let me quick confirm. This is what customized lab. And if I get a chance, I'll share this particular lab with the team, and you can get that from them as well if you want to practice the particular thing. Okay. So this lab is specifically designed for a few vulnerabilities, not a single, that can be exploited through multiple path. So it's not just a single, but yeah, multiple ways. So that's being said, this would be the IP address. I'll gonna quick confirm by just sending a ping request. And yeah, as I see, I get a ping back with a particular TTL value as 128. That also confirms that this particular system is Windows. When you see instead of this 128, you see 64, then it means it's a Linux machine. So remember, if you just want to identify whether the victim is Windows or Linux, it's the easiest task. For an example, if I do ping to my current local machine, that is 127.0.0.1, here we go. I get 64 because this is a Linux machine. However, when it comes to Windows, it will gonna show you this particular 128. That's being said, I'm gonna create a quick directory with mkdir, and let's make a demo. I guess I already have this directory.
Right.
Yes.
Sorry for the interruption. Can you actually explain the present screen you're presenting?
It's not full screen, is it?
The
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Let keep it as it is. That's fine. I guess it's visible. As soon as the
yeah,
text is visible, it should be fine, right?
it's visible.
Yeah, then perfect. Because it is on purpose. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So let's move ahead.
So,
I already
can
had.
you go ahead?
No. I just had that on a frozen state. I hope it's visible now. Yeah, I'm not doing anything. Yeah, you're gonna find it in a shot. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So what I'm gonna do, I'll gonna just quickly boot up another tool called tmux. Why I use this tmux here with sudo? Basically, I'm using Kali account. Kali is a standard privilege, low privilege user. I want any interactive way to get root terminal kind of thing, and tmux is the easiest way which I can achieve. So with the sudo tmux, I'll gonna open another kind of software interface that can allow me to split my window and do further things, and so on and so forth. There are multiple features that can be offered. While it's running, I guess it will not gonna take much time. Okay, done. Perfect. So now I'm assuming I'm gonna get this root account with the particular folder structure that is home, Kali, and demo. So if I open n number of terminal, it will gonna be in this particular folder. So that reason I just choose in this particular thing. All right. No, sorry, VBS OBS Studio interface will not gonna be omitted. If you want, I can increase the font, but that will create a mess, to be honest. So let me still do that for you. Okay, I guess 18 would be fair. Yeah, should be visible at least. So why I'm keeping that OBS in the back end, I'm recording it in a HD version as it will gonna be on a local. So for that reason, it is being done like this way. So yeah. All right. Let's start with the nmap as usual. What you do for any of the IP address that you're gonna have. So nmap with -p- for specifying all the ports. However, I don't really require to waste my time to do so. So I'll just gonna go with the default port, right? I'm gonna specify IP address that is 10.0.0.20, and along with IP address, I'm gonna specify -a. What is -a? So -a will gonna perform few actions, like it will gonna perform -sv action, it will gonna perform -sc action, it will gonna also perform -trace route, and it will also gonna perform capital O. If you want to learn this further about how this exactly -a works, you can quickly navigate to Robensive dot GitHub gitbook.robensive.in, and you will find this aggressive scan. So here, scan it aggressive. So it will gonna give you a nudge what is exactly behind the scene, and it will gonna also give you the better understanding. Okay, you can learn all the arguments that I have used here in this particular block. I'll remove everything. I don't want to use that. I'm just gonna go with this hyphen capital A with the particular IP address. Along with that, what I'm gonna do, I'll keep my output to be saved in somewhere. So let's make it nmap.txt, and along with that I'll just gonna add additional spatial argument, that is hyphen hyphen minimum hyphen rate 10,000. Why this is spatial? So basically I'm telling nmap, as the task is little bit aggressive, I want this task to be done quite faster, and minimum rate tells that I want to send 10,000 packet at the same time. So it will gonna be very aggressive, very fast, and we're gonna get a result soon. So let's do it quickly. Okay. Whenever I pause for such a things, if you have any question queries, you can just drop it to the chat box, and Faizan, you drop it to our this chat box. All right. So as I said, it will gonna do multiple actions, and this is what it did. So if I do check, it did identify service information, service version is information, that is hyphen sv. It did also use the hyphen sc, and that is for the default script. And the default script for FTP is FTP assist, that will gonna tell you what type of system it is, Windows or Linux. FTP anon, that will gonna tell you if there is FTP anonymous login allowed. If you are not aware what is anonymous login, so by just specifying username as anonymous, you are able to log into a particular FTP server. Or by not using something, any credential, if you're able to log into FTP, then this is also kind of anonymous login to particular FTP. So basically, without any authentication, if you log into FTP, that's something what you can say FTP. Second, it managed to identify another port, that is port number 80. And with the port number 80, it says Microsoft IIS 10.0. It's pretty much latest. There won't be any exploit if I even search for, and I'm not going to go and waste my time on that. Apart from that, there is 135 port open, that is running RPC. 139 and 445 both are like combined version of SMB. It just works internally to get the SMB features and functionality kind of thing. And apart from that, as I mentioned, it also does scan OS information gathering, and this is what it did. It managed to identify the operating system, that is Microsoft Windows 10. So hyphen A is just a combined version of the argument that I have already mentioned. Apart from that, it did execute a few script for the SMB, and the result is displayed here. And at the last, it did trace route. Whenever it finds SMB, it will gonna display this type of output in the last, and it has some sort of information. We're not gonna go deep into it just to save our time. So trace route is something another important thing that this particular aggressive scan does. So remember what other arguments that can be achieved. So that's being said, let's move ahead and try to utilize those particular services, try to identify or enumerate those services further and see what are the things we can do. So the first service says there is FTP anonymous login allowed. Means I will able to connect to this particular service using anonymous as a username or just having no username specified like that. So let's give it a try. I have created another kind of subterminal in this. So that's why the entire interface has been clean. So FTP 10.0.0.20, I'll just hit enter. It says Robensive vulnerable FTP server. Perfect. Anonymous, I'll just gonna specify username as anonymous. Password, you can specify random, anything to be honest. But if you want to be specific, just go for anonymous. And what it says, welcome to Robensive 10 training. User has been logged in or user logged in. Perfect. Now, if I type ls, it says entering passive mode and some sort of things here. But yeah, at least I'm able to log into this particular server. Now, in order to, whenever you log into such a case where anonymous login is allowed, the common thing and the uh, most common thing that you should perform is to try to upload something, because you are logged in. There is no file. If there is some files, then you might download and find the sensitive files in it. So, however, there is no files here. So what I can give it a try is try to put something. So let's put this nmap.txt and let's see if we manage to identify somewhere. Yeah, what it said, yeah, the work, it successfully worked and you managed to upload your file, and this actually worked. Now, as it worked, we cannot do something, but at least we have an information saying that, all right, FTP had anonymous access that allows users or anyone that connected through anonymous access that can connect to this and upload any files. That's the small hint that we right now have. Perfect. So that's being said, let's just hit exit for now, and let's see further the other services. Okay. So let me quickly navigate to Nmap scan, and here we go. The second service what we identify is Microsoft IIS HTTP. Okay, so someone had some question. You can select the screen you want to use and minimize the OBS. Uh, 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 uh. All right, let me, I don't want to create a mess, but still, I'll gonna do this for you. No problem. I'll, yeah, it will work. No problem. Yeah. Perfect. Thanks for the suggestion. Appreciate it. Okay, so the next service, what I have identified is this particular port 80. And the things that we can give it a try is just access it from browser, do sort of fuzzing kind of thing and whatnot. So let's give it a quick try. 10.0.0.20, perfect. And here what we get, the interface, the default interface of IIS site, and there is no any other files along with that. The next thing that for the HTTP, anyone would gonna perform is to identify hidden folders, files, and sort of things, right? However, the another common approach to how this or to just chain this particular upload thing for the FTP and this particular HTTP kind of thing. Like if you identify anytime FTP along with this HTTP, what you can do, you can try to find that particular file that you have uploaded through FTP. For me, it was nmap.txt. If I manage to find this particular file over web server, then I might get initial access if I upload some server side files. What do I mean? Let's just give it a try. I know I'm skipping multiple steps that could be achieved here, like scanning with XYZ tools. But yeah, let's just keep it aside just to save time for the privilege escalation. So let me quickly navigate back to here. We uploaded a nmap.txt. If I try to navigate and specify nmap.txt here, let's see what it says. It says, no, I didn't manage to find this particular thing. All right, no problem. If you didn't manage to find this nmap here, that's fair. What else I can do? I can find any folders that might contain this nmap file. And that's another common approach. So what I'm gonna do, I'll use ffuf, that is FUF, fastest fuzzer kind of thing, -u to specify URL, and I want the folder to be first. So this first word will gonna be toggled whatever the word list I specify. So word list has, let's say, 5 words. So this first word will gonna be shuffled with first word, then second word, then third one, then fourth and fifth, like that. So -w for specifying word list, and I want to use user share word list, or let's just not go with the word list, let's just go with the sec list because I like that, not no other reason. Discovery, web content, and I want, let's say, folders kind of thing. Okay, so let's use the raft. Small would be sufficient, I guess. directories dot txt. Should be good. If it didn't work, then we can go for the large or higher one, but I'm not sure it will gonna work or not. Let's just give it a try. Along with that, I'm gonna specify, let's say 100 threads. So it will gonna be very, 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 very fast. Let's give it a try. Perfect. I got something in the response saying that there is a status code of 200. That means the file was successfully achieved with a particular character, that is pub. It can be capital P, it can be small p, but pub has this particular file. Let's give it a try. So if I specify pub here, add a slash and nmap, here we go. We have our nmap scan that we uploaded in the upload directory. Perfect. So as we know that we can upload to a web hosting directory, means where the web application is running, that is what we call as a web hosting directory. As we know that we can upload to it, then the next thing is to utilize MSF Venom to create ASP and ASPX shell, right? So this is IIS, and IIS support ASP as well as ASPX. You can give it a try both, like try uploading ASP first, then ASPX if any of any of it work. So basically, if it is something outdated version, then ASP would be working. If it is the upcoming or the little latest version, not the very latest, but the little latest version, then ASPX would be working. So I'll just save my time, just show you something. MSF Venom -L to list all the formats. It is gonna list all the formats that it does support. And if I just scroll up here, the first one says framework executable, means it those are the executable format, means if you just try to execute it without any dependencies, then it will gonna execute. Dependency doesn't means like any executor or I can say interpreter. Dependencies means you no need to call something in that particular code. However, when it comes to this framework transform, what that does means is it will just showcase, or it will just output a particular variable, and that variable value you can use for your coding. So those executable doesn't require any additional things for execution, whereas those framework transfer format does require something to use it, or something to call that particular variable or add it somewhere. So you can also learn these things further by just navigating to this particular side. There is a dedicated session, the dedicated chapter for metasploit, all the things where all the basics, venom, auxiliaries, exploit, and things are mentioned. You can learn further from that particular side. So that's being said, let's move further. All right, so what I want here is ASPX, and ASPX does not require any additional things to be executed. That's great. I'll just gonna use that particular thing. MSF Venom, I'm gonna use a particular payload that is, let's say, Windows, because I know my destination is Windows, and it is running on IIS, and IIS by default works on x64, that is 64-bit. I'm gonna choose meterpreter / reverse _ TCP. So there is a particular, this particular structure has a way to understand. Like the first block says that what type of operating system it has, what type of architecture. The second block, the third block is for the program. So it can be meterpreter as a program, it can be shell as a program, it can be VNC inject as a program, and so on and so forth. You can also learn this basic things by just navigating to Venom struct, and there will be shell code and structure to understand the actual structure of those different payloads, to understand it further. For now, I'm just gonna quickly skip it and move further. So lhost will be my IP address. I'm gonna quick check my IP address. I know it's 13, but just wanted to confirm. Here we go. There is a spelling mistake. That will be reverse _ TCP. Perfect. Lhost I have specified, lport is equals to. So there is another catch here. Whenever you choose the reverse connection, means the destination will gonna connect back to your attacker machine. Then try to use common ports like 80, 443, 53, or it can be 445. right? For Windows, the 445 works most of the time. So always prefer to go with the 445, or what else you can go is 80. 80 is also quite common, 80, 443 and so on and so forth. But as it is Windows and I have disabled the firewall, it is not gonna be issue here. But whenever you find any issue, try to go with the common ports 80, 443 and so on and so forth. So here the command is ready. I want to specify a format. Format will be ASPX, and the output file I want to be specified as a pensive.aspx because the format I have specified like that. Perfect. It was quite fast. And it results something, a file basically that is in the ASPX, and always recommend to try to read this. So if I just scroll up a bit, I'm not going to explain each and everything, but yeah, just wanted to see how it was structured. No, I'm just expecting no executable kind of format here. I mean the binary. So what you see in the framework transform is this particular block. What you see in here, this block. So if you create a framework transform format, then you will just going to find such a block, just a variable that requires other structure that will gonna call that particular variable for whatever the reason it is, right? So executable will not gonna require any additional code, and framework transform will just going to give you this particular part. If you want to confirm, just give it a try to use any of the part, any of the format that has framework transform, and you'll get an idea. That's being said, seems to be a perfect code. Let's give it a try to upload it with the FTP. Let me connect back. FTP anon name must just enter. I don't want to specify even any password. I uploaded nmap.txt, and I also want to put another file, and that is robensive.aspx. As my file is uploaded, I have to start my Metasploit console or for the listening activity. For which what I'm gonna do, I'll quickly copy. Let me just exit from here. I'll quickly copy this particular payload for the later on purpose. So let me copy it. Control B, Control C. And whenever you start Metasploit framework, the right way to start would be msfdb and run. The reason behind that, it will start the database. If it is not running, you'll not gonna find any error, and database will going to log all your activity. If you have compromised any machine, if you have added anything, any nmap result or something, then it will gonna have everything logged here. Okay, and you can use other database thing. I have also explained the same thing if you go to this basic and other kind of stuff. So from where you will gonna find a video as well as the text version of the same. So as my MSF is loaded, I'm gonna use a particular exploit that is multi-handler. Multi-handler is specially crafted handler or specially crafted, I can say, exploit where you specify your shell code that you have used or the payload you have used, and it will gonna support the listening activity for the same. So I'll just gonna set a particular payload, and that I have already copied, and I'll just hit option, then it will gonna show me all the payload option that can be supplied to it. Now if I just set lhost 10.0.0.13, that is my local IP address where this particular listener will be started, because the destination will try to connect to me, and I should have that list my door open to in order to get them in or let them in. Set L port, I'm gonna specify 445. That is what I have used. And the other things, I'll just keep it as it is. I'm not gonna go with anything as such. And let's try to run. It is running perfectly fine. Now let's try to access that robensive.aspx. And here we go. I got the staged access here and Metapreter session 1 open. Now I have initial access with a particular user that is insecure Rob. Insecure is what the machine name and Rob is what the user name. So this is what the overall initial access kind of thing for you, right? This is customized lab and you're not going to find it easily. However, if I get a chance, I'll try to upload somewhere. It's really huge, 15 plus GB somewhere. So I'll try to upload somewhere. If I'm able to, then maybe you can reach out to management of this community and you're going to find things. Could you do it manually? The creation of the payload. The student mean? Not really. This is not on purpose. The session is for the Windows privilege escalation, and I'll just gonna save my time wherever I could. Okay, so privilege escalation is most important thing here. So for that reason, I'll not gonna. So sorry for that. Maybe in the later on you're gonna find it somewhere, but not right now. Okay, so that's being said, let's as we have the initial access and we can do sort of things by just using help. You can have every access, everything in your interpreter, right? So we are good to move towards our other slides as we are done with the particular topic that is gaining initial access. So let me quickly start the slideshow. Here we go. We got the initial access. Once we have the initial access, we can perform enumeration to identify vulnerabilities that can allow us to do privilege escalation. Now it's time to identify possible ways to do the privilege escalation. There would be n number of ways, not a single. Choosing the right path and easiest path is what depends on the tester. So that's being said, let's move further. Any doubt if you have related to the topic that I have covered so far, then you can do let us know by just comment box, chat box, or whatever we call this. If you have, so I'll read it whenever I pause for a moment, and I'll try to answer your queries. Let me keep this open in my browser so I can have watch as well. A moment. All right. Perfect. Back. Okay, so as we have initial access to the victim machine, we can try identify potential ways to privilege escalate over the system to be administrative user. Administrative user could be any. We can identify with the couple of commands that I'm going to showcase in a bit. There are many automation scripts that are available which can be used to enumerate for the privilege escalation task. We will look some of the known scripts, very known, and those are the really best one in order to identify. We're not going to exploit any as such, but right now we're just going to focus on different scripts, different paths through which you can follow and find the enumeration ways. So that's being said, let's move further. Okay, moving back to practical, we have initial access, we are good to it. The first and important script here is the power up. And what I'm gonna do quickly is, as I said, I'm gonna show you who are the administrative user here. So you can type shell if you wish to, and just run a particular command, and that is net local group administrators, and this will gonna return who is the administrator in this particular system, and there is only one user, that is administrator. Often this administrator user you will find as a disabled, so let's confirm whether that user is active or not. So net user, the username, and hit enter, and when you see account active as a yes, means this account is actually active. So we want to be as this particular user as administrator, or we must be higher than this particular administrator user. This could be anti-authority system and whatnot, right? So let's move further. I'll just hit exit because I don't want this particular thing. And we'll start with the first script that we will going to focus further. That is power up. Power up is very known and quite old script that is being used for years now, and that will going to identify possible privilege escalation path. So let's see how we're gonna do it. So what I'm gonna do, I'll find the latest script from my browser, through my browser. I mean, power up. I know it's not being updated for a while now. Power up GitHub, and from the power exploit, you're gonna find the latest one. I have those already in my local, but I wanted you to even see this particular thing. So that's the reason. Okay, I'll click on the raw to get the URL, which I can, oops, get the URL which I can utilize. Oops, it seems to be my machine went to frozen state. I should have disabled that. Just a minute. Let's wait for this to be fixed. I hope my access is not revoked till this time. Okay, I'll copy this out, go here, and the new tab, cd into demo, because I want to work in this particular folder. So yeah, wget and whatever the URL. Okay, so I think I have to wait for this. Restoring virtual machine. Okay, seems to be restored. Let's confirm if I still do have access to that. Get UID, it will gonna give me the user ID. Get priv, it will gonna give me the privileges, and yeah, I confirm that it works. All right, now power up is already with me, and we can use Meterpreter in order to import and execute that particular power up script. And the easiest would be to load PowerShell in this particular Meterpreter. So Meterpreter offer few extensions like this BOF loader, ESPIA, Incognito, Kiwi, Lanatex, and so on and so forth. Out of which we're gonna just use the particular module that is PowerShell. So let's give it a try. PowerShell. As soon as I load that particular extension, if I just type help, I'm gonna find another options, another arguments that are related to PowerShell. Like the first one will gonna execute PowerShell command. Second one will gonna allow us to import something, and so on and so forth. So what I'm gonna do, I'll use PowerShell import in order to import our powerup.ps1. It says successful imported, but I got a multiple error. That's unobvious. No worries. If that worked, then we're gonna identify by just executing one of the commands. So PowerShell execute invoke hyphen power up. That is what the way to execute this particular power up script. Let's give it a try. There's an error. No worries. I think I have my local copy that was working well, and the updated version might have something an error. So let's just locate power up.ps1, and this is what I have used, or I guess this is what I have used. Let's give it a try to load that. Perfect. This one worked. So I guess the latest version had some error, and maybe something is wrong with that. No worries at all. Let's try to now execute this particular invoke all check, not invoke power up, invoke all checks. My bad. It happens sometimes. So invoke all checks will gonna do check all the different thing. We might get an error whenever we do not have access to, because power up is quite old and not designed for all the things, but yeah, it still works for the most of the case. The first one, it says the command execution is complete and we have some response back, and it returned with a particular value saying that privileges, that is SM impersonate privileges, that can allow us to do a privilege escalation. This is one of the possible case. So I'll just gonna copy it and put it in a text editor for a while. So we can later on have a look and choose what is the easiest way to achieve our exploitation path. So this is one of the way. Then the next one, it says access denied, means power up tried to use this particular get WMI object. However, that particular privileges is not given to this particular process, and hence it got those type of error. Let's try one more time to load the latest version and check with the invoke all checks. So basically I was trying this invoke power up. That was the wrong path. Let's see if this worked. All right, this time it worked. So let's go invoke all checks. If the latest has anything additional, so we're gonna find that, but no. Eventually it has all the things identical to the older version. So all good, all set. So that's being said, this is what the first script that I wanted you to be aware of. There are a couple more scripts. The second one was privilege check, and this is what you can also identify by just searching privilege check, that is privilege escalation check. Really good script, and it gives you the better result compared to what power up can offer. However, power up allows you to have ability to be very specific. If you just want to see a particular thing, then power up will gonna able to do that. That maybe privilege check will gonna privilege check will gonna be missing. So let me download this quickly. Wget and this particular file. I'll copy the file name, go back here, PowerShell import, and I'll try to import that particular priv escalation check. File is successfully imported, and how we can execute the priv check. So it is what mentioned here in the file itself. It is invoke priv check. This is what the command. If you want to go with the extended version, you can go with this. However, I don't really wish to go with that for now. So I'll go with the default one. So PowerShell execute, and I'm gonna execute invoke privilege escalation check. Let's hit enter and see what it returns. I'm expecting at least more compared to what we have seen with the power up, but let's see. Who knows, right? I hope my machine is up. Error running PowerShell execute, send timeout. Let's try one more time. I'm sure this will gonna return something. Or maybe my shell got died or something. Let's wait for a while. While it is running, what I'm gonna do, I'll disable the sleep time. Maybe misconfigured here. See if we can do get privs. No, shell is not died. Let's try to import one more time. It was successful. Invoke privilege escalation check. That's an obvious. Power and sleep settings. I don't want my machine to be sleep. Never ever. That's cool. That's weird. And this is not something I was even expecting. But no worries. If that didn't work, we have other ways as well. So what I'm gonna do, I'll just cd into c:/. Okay. So for this, I'm gonna be c:// and create a directory test. Whatever directory you want, cd into test, and I'll boot up a PowerShell here, or maybe PowerShell. Yeah, there was no PowerShell shell. Here we go. Now I am inside the PowerShell shell. Now if I type ls, there is no, I don't want to be in this particular directory. This directory doesn't contain anything. I'll just gonna upload that particular script, that is privilege check, privilege escalation check. File was uploaded. Let's just type shell and then boot up our PowerShell. PowerShell. hyphen EP, or we can go with this particular path, this particular command as well. So just boot up a shell. Let's try to go with this particular command. Let's see how it works. Perfect. This time I got some response, so possibly that load module had some error. But yeah, as you see, we have more response compared to what we had in the past. That's better. Uh, okay, so there is someone that mentioned, no, could you please do it manually, the privilege escalation without using script? Okay, so here scripts are written to enumerate everything. Okay, and if you want to go and enumerate everything one by one without without using any script, then it will gonna be time efforts for you only. There are scripts written, right? If you are aware with those techniques that are written in the scripts, then it's easy to identify, trust me. And of course the exploitation is what we're gonna do manually and not by using the script. Okay, so this is what someone mentioned. Yeah, I was absent in the last two classes. Can okay, now this not okay, so no question. All right, so let's continue. So we have something in the response back, and let's see what we have. So this returns in the last. This returns a report in the text version, kind of table format. So yeah, the first one says okay, 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 and that's fair. If something says vulnerable, then this high is something I found interesting, because yeah, this could be leads to privilege escalation. This medium is also something I'll gonna go and take it further. So for now I'll just keep this particular thing apart. So I'll gonna investigate further and see if I am able to do certain things. Okay, apart from that, there is another one. It says binary permission. I'll gonna go and check this further. And there is one more, that is system updates. That also tells medium, but of course I'm more interested in the high part and not those medium and kind of thing. All right, so apart from that, there are some more returned value report that says that none means the severity is not that critical high or something. Then we might exclude that, but it is worth checking those particular things. So if I scroll up, let's just get the necessary things for all those things, all those three vulnerabilities that it identified. So if I scroll up for updates, it says there is one update has to be installed, I guess. If I scroll up, the second thing I wanted is related to the service binary permission. Scroll up, scroll up, scroll up. This is related to hijacking DLL. I usually avoid those type of vulnerabilities. Many times you get the same user access. BitLocker status, not interested. This is credential guard, not interested. Windows logon. It really gives you more information, right? More information you have, you're gonna do much more things. Okay, so I found something else as well. So this is related to SAM, system security thing, a particular CV basically. So here we go. We have the result pasted here for the later on purpose, of course. It's not gonna go with that too. And there were something related to service permission. And here what it is. If I just scroll up. Oops. Okay, so this says service binary permission. And let's copy half half. All right. So this is three different not the three, one, two, three, and four. Four different possible ways that we have identified using two of the script, right? I'm just giving you a nudge, like 10 different ways to do this kind of information gathering. If one fails, one blocked by AV or something, you can give it a try with second. If that fails, third. That fails, fourth. If four of them are failing, then you might create your own. So that's thing is apart. And it also offers this extended that we can give it a try, but I'm not gonna go with that just to save a little time. So those are the two scripts that we have seen so far, the power up and privilege check. There are two more that I wanted to highlight. The one is win piece and second one is B root. But those are the executables. Those are not the PowerShell one. So I wanted to use that load PowerShell and import PowerShell kind of thing, for which I just chosen those two first. So let's give it a try with the win piece. What type of output we get? I'll get the win piece latest version by navigating to the GitHub repo. If you scroll down, you'll find the release page here. And if you scroll down, you will find any of the version that you wish to. I'll go with the 64-bit version. If you want to go with the 32, then you can go for that. 64, there is obfuscated version as well. But as I have no antivirus configured so far, so I'll go with this version. Copy the link, going to my demo folder, wget, upload it. And now what I'm gonna do, I'll just put it in a background. So by just hitting Control Z, oh my God, my session got closed. I might have to get another session quickly. Da-da-da. Yes, but what's the thing here? Let me run quickly. There's an error. That's so weird. Let's try to load. Page has been sent. Session 2 has been opened. Perfect. All right. Let's open shell one more time, but by navigating to c://test. Perfect. Let's pop up the shell, but before that we have to upload something. Let's just upload WinPace x64 to this particular directory. Upload. This is gonna be uploaded along with what I'll just gonna get the B root as well. B root privilege escalation. And you can Windows version here. Let's get the executable compiled version available here. Here we go. And this is where it is. I'm just gonna copy the link, bring back here, wget broot.zip. If you have any question, queries, there is time frame, we can talk while it is downloading and uploading. Feel free to ask. Okay, so 7-zip I'm gonna use for extract those. So X is for extract, and I want to extract this zip file. Let's see what we got. We got this p.exe. Uploading that as well, just to save a little time. And there might be a number of scripts, not just those. Let's try to get a shell and let's execute those. So the first one I wanted to execute here has been piece, and this returns huge result, and it is totally colorized. And trust me, you'll find something useful here as well. Somewhat, sometimes it fails as well with such an error. That's unobvious, but yeah, at least we have something if you just scroll up. Perfect. It returns some information about this particular user. It says tools folder where my current user have access to. Full access, like we can have read, write, and so on and so forth. Administrator is the user that is privileged, for which it returned with the color of red. So you have to just focus on red and such a different colors. If I scroll up, you'll find, okay, it says this particular user enabled, that is true. The information that we already identified earlier. The other user are false. For that reason, it is colored with the green. Administrator is also active, and it is something with the administrative privileges, so that the username is as well mentioned in the red color. So here another red color that was mentioned is with the SE impersonate privileges, that we already have information here as well with the power up. Power up mentioned that this privilege can be exploited to have privilege escalated. So this is what you can also identify. Along with this particular script, you will find a Git book that you can refer, and this Git book has exploitation steps as well. If I scroll up, let's see if any other in the red color. It says there is some sort of what you can say groups kind of thing. If I scroll up, administrative groups. I mean, uh, 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 uh. Okay, so here we have some information. Da, 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 da. Not in the red, but we still have some logged information or something. Let's scroll up. Maybe I did try it for something, and this is the result of it. PowerShell event script block. Yeah. So we executed multiple scripts, and this is what the part of that script. So nothing serious and sensitive. Let's scroll up. If we see anything in the red, then we're gonna stop. Perfect. There is a red, and what it says, enumerating name pipe. Don't worry, what is name pipe and other things. It's little complicated for you as a beginner, but if you are an experienced guy, the name pipe allow a program or a software to have interactive communication with the different endpoints like that. Okay, so this is what it says. Like those endpoints allow everyone to write access, have write access, and read access kind of thing. So scrolling up, nothing interesting, nothing that we can exploit easily. NamePipe can be exploited, but it's not the easiest task. We should require uh, multiple possibilities. We should fuzz that particular endpoint, and then after we might get a chance to get something. This also gives some information that client required signing means NTLM signing is totally off. So that is another information, but not really something that can allow us to do privilege escalated. Scrolling up a bit, da, 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 here it says, remember that da, 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 it says authenticated user has full privilege in this particular folder. But again, that's something common, nothing really critical. C folder usually have everyone to have access, like full privilege access. C folder, I mean. So that's being said. It says this is where you'll find PowerShell script. If there is something related to PowerShell executed, then this script, this particular history file might gonna contain some sensitive file that you can give it a try to read. So we might keep it aside if we wish to, but it is not gonna something interesting. So I'm just gonna skip it for now. What else? Prompt for non-Windows binary, nothing interesting. If I scroll up, guest logon count, it says 10. Nothing interesting. It says credential guard is not enabled. Some configuration related things, misconfiguration, but not something critical or high that can allow us to do privilege escalated. So hence I'm just excluding. But still I have a huge response. Huge response. So here there is one more. It managed to identify one CVE, that is CVE 2020-1013, that is vulnerable. I can get the exploit. That is what here mentioned. I can get the exploit execute, and that could be a possible win-win situation. I'll copy it out. I guess it's the same what we found. No, this is different. So let's keep it here as well. Just for a log. All right. So those information, what it managed to identify. I mean, I was expecting a little more, but that's weird. No worries. We still have another tool. that we can give it a try and use, and the tool name is broot. Let's give it a try. broot.exe. What happened? Does it require any additional things? I can hyphen help. Oops. broot hyphen h. It should work. Windows Privilege Escalation. Let's see if we find something. Should work, I'm sure. But any wiki here? No wiki given. Okay, maybe this gives an idea. Yeah, this gives output. Why it didn't work? Oh, let's give it a try with L. So broot hyphen L. Yeah, there is some error related to this particular script only. Maybe that it's the same that get service. But yeah, I was just wanted you to know about different possibility, different tools that could give you some information. We still have a bunch of information that can be utilized for privilege escalation. We're just going to identify the easiest path, and that easiest path could be used for privilege escalation. So that's being said, let's move ahead with the next PPT slide. No, there was one more script I remember. Not the script, but there is one more important blog or important GitHub repo that I wanted to highlight is payload all the things. So payload all the things also offers Windows privilege escalation related all the techniques. So if you go to this payload all the things, if you click on the tools, you will find other tools that are not even listed here. Like the power up is what we have seen. Watson is another one. Sherlock is another one, but deprecated. Broot is the one we have already used. Windows exploit suggester. There is Windows privilege check. There is Windows exploit, Windows anom, seatbelt, power by this powerless. Seatbelt is also good. You should give it a try, and trust me, this works very well when it comes to domain related user. And at that time seatbelt works very well. So whenever I personally, if I find access to a particular domain join account, then I'll gonna go and choose with the seatbelt first. Powerless, similar to power up. Powerless is another enumeration script. Jaws is the other one. JAWS, just another Windows enumeration. Here is the one. WinPiece is another one that we have already seen. Of course, Windows exploit suggester. Maybe this is a different one. The one we saw here. Privilege check is what we have already used, and it result really great. Simplified output and the I can say combined result report kind of thing. So yeah. Also, apart from that, the one who mentioned that can you do it manually? So yeah, if you wish to, then here each and every possible scenario or possible enumeration that can be achieved through the manual task is mentioned here. For example, this is the one, this is second, the third one, and fourth, and so on and so forth. You can go and choose one by one, try to enumerate something, but trust me, it will gonna result zero out, because you will spend days to achieve something that your script can do in an hour, not an hour even, in a day, in a 10 minutes or something like that, right? So yeah, automation is designed once those or a manual task is they wanted to simplify or something. So yeah, you should go with the automation when it comes to enumeration part. But when you want to exploit, it's better to go with the manual task. So for that reason, all the enumeration I have saved it here. We can go choose any one, not all of course, but yeah, this could be exploited by all the mentioned exploitation path. However, I'll just gonna go with the single one that is planned. So let's move towards my PPT one more time. Moving to the slide share. As we have access to the victim machine and all the things, we can go for the enumeration. And for the enumeration, those are the important key scripts or the one payload, all the things where you can find more information is mentioned here. Apart from that, privilege escalation techniques is what I will be also writing over this over that Git book, but it will gonna take a little time. Like each and every possible privilege escalation path for the Windows environment as well as Linux environment. I'll make a separate video, and for that particular topic, I'll gonna go and write the documentation over GitHub. So you have to be stay tuned over there for getting those updates, kind of thing. That's being said, let's move ahead. We already out of time, but no worries, it's technical topic and always it works like that. So yeah. So privilege escalation based on the enumeration, we should able to identify right or easy and the safe way to perform the privilege escalation when we exploit a vulnerable machine that is robust and secure, yeah, for understanding approach technique and behind the scene. So this is what we already did, and we will going to exploit that particular machine. We already enumerated, I mean, and we will going to exploit this particular machine for understanding approach and technique and behind the scene what is the vulnerability kind of. So let's move back to my text where we have some information. So the first one says SE impersonate privileges. It can be exploited with multiple ways, but I'll just gonna go with the safest path, safest way. So what I'm gonna go with, if I have access to Metasploit, the easiest path would be to load a module incognito. Right? There are other ways, there are other script tools that can be used to achieve this or exploit this particular thing that you can also spend a time on it. I have included this incognito, and through the incognito, I can list all the impersonatable token. It says SE impersonate privilege means I can impersonate process token behalf of others like that. So if I just list underscore tokens, I will able to identify all the list. So all the different username related token. I think my machine is not working well. So I just have token for Rob. If I just specify group, or if any other administrative group I do have impersonation available. If I had, then I would have chosen to impersonate that particular token. And let's say this particular logon session, maybe let's say this is privileged one, then I will just click copy, paste, hit enter, and it would work successfully impersonated. Now if I type get priv, I might have extra privileges. However, this is not administrative at all. What I'm going to do, rev to self in order to back to the initial stage with all the privileges that my current user had to just avoid any consequences. So yeah. The second one here is the CV. And trust me, CV related to operating system, what we see here, Windows related privilege escalation, I would keep it last. When I have nothing to look, I'm just going to go and check those type of vulnerabilities, like related to any installed KBs or privilege escalation related to OS. Because if I try to exploit that, that victim server might gonna crash if this didn't work well or something got happened, and I don't wish to go with that, right? So I just keep it aside and keep it for last when I do not have any access, any other path, and that only is the last option. The next thing here, it says related to SAM security files, and there are three results. And this is another related to CVE. It says, yeah, there is a CVE, this particular where Hive Nightmare, quite common vulnerability that was identified in 2021. And what it was is anyone can access to SAM system and security files. Anyone, any user or anyone. And those files contain your anti-LM hash or your authentication credentials and sort of things. If anyone got access to those files, then they can get your plain text credential. It's the easiest exploitation as well. We can just get those files downloaded in our local system, and we can use other tools, right? But for that, we have to identify whether or not that particular file is still accessible. Of course, the script says, but we have to validate. So let's quickly check. Shell ICACLS is a tool, or cackles. ICACLS is one and the CACLS is another one. Is a tool that will going to display permissions on a particular file. So what file I want to see is C colon slash Windows, Windows slash system 32. I guess it's I forgot the path. Oh my god. That the case? Here it is. Windows System 32 config and SAM. All right, let's quick check one more time. Of course, it does discloses that, but I wanted to be sure. Okay, so by just reading this with the cackles, it says it's not allowed. The another thing, another try you can give it a try is just to copy this entire file, that is C Windows SAM, and see if you can copy it to current directory. It says access is denied. So possibly something is preventing us. Eventually, it's not related to this exact file, what it claims, like we can read a file data and all. But even though we cannot read it directly, it requires some other additional things. So I assume this is false positive and cannot be exploited based on my experience. But still, as this returns something, then maybe this could be. Again, it's like 60-40 kind of thing. Moving towards next, it says there are service binary that has a weak permission. So it says list all the services, check whether the current user can modify target executable, write file in the parent folder or not. And what it says, it returned two results. The first one is WinSMS, that might be the service name, and that is executing this particular image path. If I wanted to check, I'll just give it a try, something like sc.exe qc and this WinSMS. There would be other ways if this fails. Yeah, as expected, this particular method failed. However, with the another way, the technique that this automation script had, I'm not sure what exactly it is. It did manage to identify this particular thing, that there is a particular I can say there is a particular service running that the name has WinSMS, that is executing a particular path, that is this particular path, and that path is what the user can have access to modify, access to write. We can also confirm by logging into this particular machine, cmd sc.exe qc win sms, and here we go. It is what executing, and this information was retrieved by that script where the manual method failed, and there were intended multiple restriction was implemented to prevent such type of enumeration. So yeah, this is what the path I found, and I wanted to confirm whether or not my current user have access to write into this particular file. So let's assume that this service is running through local system, that is highest privileges, or also known as oops, also known as NT authority system, right? This is also known as what I mean. So if this service is running as NT authority system, and my current user can modify this particular file or maybe this file, then think, if I modify this file with my malicious binary, malform binary, then next time whenever the service executes, it will going to execute my malform binary. So let's give it a check whether I can have access to write into or not. How will gonna do it? Again, the same technique. Okay, my meterpreter session died. Let me run one more time. Again, I got an error, unwanted error, I would say. All right, sending a stage. So someone said, we can we use WinAnom? I haven't used that, but yeah, If you wish to, feel free to. Those are just simplified and easy process kind of thing. Perfect. So now my session has been successfully opened. I can even execute from this execute, and with the execute I can specify arguments and file. So let's say execute F. I don't want to, let's say, open my uh, what I can say. I don't want to open my shell. So for that reason, CACLS, I want to execute CACLS with a particular argument. An argument I want to specify this particular path, and path supposed to be within the quotes because there is a space in between. Let's hit enter. Okay, I want this to be interactive, and I guess for with hyphen I can make it now. Possibly I can specify it here. For interactive, what the command is? Yeah, it's hyphen I. That's so unobvious. Let's take a shell for now. Let's not waste time. CACLS, cackles or iCackles, both are the same. What it says everyone has full access. That's the only line that tells everyone can have access to modify this file, delete this file, edit this file, and whatnot. So we can modify this file, we can put our malicious binary, and we can do sort of things. So what I'm gonna do, I'll first move this particular file. I forgot to add apostrophe, and that is necessary to confirm whether I can have modification permission or not. So let's modify it with .bak or a backup. Let's hit enter. It say, yeah, it did work. And when that file has been successfully moved. Perfect. Now I can place my own file that could be malicious binary. And let's see if that works here. So what I'm gonna do, I'll just exit from this console. I'll cd into this particular path. So cdc colon slash, oops, cdc colon slash cd program slash slash space files. This was inside the x86, my bad. cd, let's just put all together. C colon is already there. Perfect. ls, I can confirm that that back file has been successfully being there. Now what I'm gonna do is I'll create another Trojan with MSF Venom. So MSF Venom hyphen P Windows Meterpreter reverse TCP, same thing, but instead of the ASPX this time, I'm gonna specify exe hyphen service because this is service, right? And if I check MSF Venom hyphen L formats, I'll just gonna grab for exe. You will find that exe service as well. Here, exe hyphen service. What it will gonna do? It will create a service executable, and that is what I meant here. So hyphen O Robensive, not the Robensive. Let's keep the name same that we deleted. It was winsms.bak, winsms.exe. Perfect. Let's hit enter and let's try to upload this particular file. That is winsms. We can also delete any other file that may be like DLL files that is being loaded by that exe. But the easiest way to go and replace that particular exe. So it did work here. We have our winsms.exe ready. Let's try to upload winsms.exe. It says upload complete. I'm not sure why this error. Let's confirm. Yes, WinSMS has been successfully uploaded. Perfect. That's a good sign. Now the next thing is we can restart the service because that service is already running. We can give it a try to restart that service. If we cannot, we can restart the system. That's the another way. Either we can restart the service or we can restart the system. So let's take a shell sc.exe, stop or stop this particular service, that is win exe. It was, I guess, win sms, not the exe, win sms. But it says access denied. So as we cannot restart that particular service, what else we can do? We can reboot the machine. So by just using this reboot, it is gonna reboot that, and before it works, before that reboot happens, we should be ready with our listener, because as soon as this machine will gonna be rebooted, that service will also gonna be rebooted. And when the service will gonna be rebooted, it will gonna execute my malicious executable that I have created with MSF Venom. And as the malicious executable will gonna be executed, it will going to try to connect to this particular IP address on this port. So before reboot, we should have our listener ready. So as you see, listener is already ready. Let's wait for a short. It's gonna take a little time, not much. Da-da-da. While it's working, let's see if there is any error. Okay, there's no question seems. If you do have, just drop it there and I'll be happy to answer that. Well, right? Yeah, I guess the both of the file is same. It will take a little time to start. I'm expecting this to be done anytime now. I hope that there is no error with this particular mutable an SMS. That's accurate. Everything seems to be fine, and I assume that this will gonna be working for sure. Let's see if that service has been running or not. Either we can wait till this service is running, as I'm using this VM and sometimes the VM makes it a little slower. Let's try to log in and see if that service is running. Unobvious. I should have the access anytime. So, okay, let's see if that service is still running or something. sc.exe, uc, win SMS. It says auto start delayed. Okay, it's delayed. Basically, it will gonna once every service is done with their running process, then after it will gonna start running. So it will gonna take a little time. And yeah, it did work this time. As you see, sending stage, and this is a good sign. When it says sending stage, then it will gonna find the important things, important information for us. Sending stage means basically it is sharing the next part of the shell code or executable of this meterpreter, and that part will gonna contain meterpreter program like that. So if I type help, I'm gonna have all the privileges. If I type sorry get uh, UID, I'm gonna find what user I have, and it says NT authority system because my service is running through NT system or local system. If I type get priv, I'm gonna have all the privileges. And if I want to do further things, I can also do load a Kiwi. Kiwi is a nice extension. I would really recommend you. It's a Mimikat's version for your interpreter. You can load Kiwi and type logon passwords. I guess I forgot. I guess let's just go with the help. It's creates creates all. It will gonna identify all the credentials for you if there is any plain text. So for administrator, it got an NTLM hash, but not the plain text. Unfortunately, if I scroll up, I might find, I might not. It all depends. There are other options as well that can be utilized. Let me just get a little smaller. Little help, little more, little more help. No, I was trying to fix this T or something, but it's fine, I guess. Okay, so we can give it a try to use other options that it allows in order to do sort of things. But as we have the system access, we can also do hash dump, and hash dump will going to get the administrator or whatever the user hashes it managed to identify. Somehow my Metasploit framework working a little weird because of this freshly new created VM. So maybe for that reason. But the older one it worked very well. But that's apart. If you have any queries, question, you may ask while the next slide is being loaded. All right, so we have seen one privilege escalation and how this could be achieved. So we can go step by step. We can go for the first, then second, then third, then fourth, and based on what we can move further for the exploitation of the same. So whatever you find easy and safe, try to go with that first. And if you don't have any easy and safe way, then you can go for something like operating system related bugs, kernel exploit, or something similar. So that's the overall or general approach. The next thing that I want to highlight here is mitigation. Or based on the vulnerabilities, different mitigation has to be added and applied. So for our case, the folder had insecure permission, which result an attacker to drop their malicious binary. And if we fix it for, let's say we modify that and do not allow everyone to have access to modify or write into, then it's prevented with this particular privilege escalation vulnerability. Apart from that, we also observed that the FTP folder had access to allow someone to upload something, and that was reflected over web server, and that is another wrong thing. So by applying those ACL or access control lists, it can be easily prevented. So that's the easiest mitigation. For different vulnerability, there will be different mitigation, and that I'll surely explain everything in this particular course. And so I have been developing a course for OSCP aspirants, and that course will going to contain ranging from Nmap till Active Directory, buffer overflow, and whatnot. So I am designing one for everyone who want to start their journey with the network pen testing. So you can navigate to gitbook.robensive.in that I have already shared a couple slides ago and multiple times probably, from where you can start learning. So I have completed 3 modules, what I'm aware, uh, and fourth module is what ongoing. So the first you can start with Nmap, then you can go for enumeration, different enumeration techniques that can be achieved using Nmap and other tools. It was tool oriented kind of thing. Then understanding Metasploit, all the features, functionalities, structures, and everything is what mentioned here. And the fourth, which is ongoing, that is web for shell. Means all the web application vulnerability can be chained for the RCE, remote code execution, and this is what you're gonna find it here, and this is for free. And of course I'll gonna continue making it, and expecting this to be done by end of this year. So yeah, for every topic you will gonna find a dedicated video just below that particular page. If you don't find, navigate over the YouTube channel and you're gonna find there as well. Yeah, the VM has some network error for which this YouTube link didn't reflected, or this page is currently loading. You navigate to this site, and here, see, for each and every video you'll find a small introductory or small practical video with the proper approach. So yeah, that is what all in my mind. You can take a screenshot for this particular URL, that is gitbook.robensive.in, and if I had any plans or something, you'll find it over the same. So that's it. That's all for this. If you have any questions, anything as such, you may ask now. You can drop your queries and do the things.
Thanks a lot. That was really nice. And ignorance and this their new payment and people are asking you to get their name. So that's a really good.
Okay, great.
So uh, okay, have you shared the YouTube channel? So everyone can go there and we'll just start giving the
So, okay, there is this question, sir, how we can do Bluetooth enumeration and find vulnerabilities in Bluetooth like that? Okay, so Bluetooth eventually comes into a different segment. And yes, you can do sort of things. There are a couple of scripts, GitHub, which you can find it from good GitHub, and from which you can identify basic things. But to be honest, I'm not super knowledge in that, and I'm more into like attacking kind of thing. So I would not gonna be able to answer your question with my 100% of mind. So it's better you can just explore it, and I'm sure you'll get much information while just searching over GitHub. I have seen multiple great tools that can be utilized for gathering this Bluetooth traffic, finding Bluetooth traffic, analyzing it, and also you can use Wireshark. Yes, that is another thing. Wireshark also allows you to listen for Bluetooth. Let me quick check. Wireshark, and with the Wireshark you can have one Bluetooth traffic captured, and once you have captured all the traffic, then you can supply it to something like um, T-Shark. Not the T-Shark, there is one analyzer, Wireshark analyzer, one not one, there are a couple Wireshark analyzer through which you can identify any sensitive information that is being sent from source to destination like that. And yeah, here you see Bluetooth 0. So it really captures Bluetooth data as well. But I never tried, but I have seen this. So yeah.
yeah, to just gentlemen in the quiz feedback form. And the quiz will be closing in next 20 minutes, which is exactly like 3. The quiz will be please check on
Okay.
already responded. Actually responded to all of interested. There was a person asking like really possible work to do together. So where will be people able to find the
Uh, I didn't get your question actually. Can you?
actually, you mentioned about designing the it's covering a lot of things. So there is a question that people be accessing this like how can they download it advice and then to
Huh? Okay, so I just saw the initial things actually, and I think there was an error with the screen share again, like the last time. So I really apologize to everyone about this. That screen has not been shared fully, but no worries. When you see the recorded session, I have already recorded version. You will be able to watch it in a full screen. So I'm really sorry about this. I didn't notice. Actually, I have shared the expanded version of it, but for unfortunate reason it didn't work. No worries at all. I'll gonna share with Nikhil, and Nikhil will gonna upload it here as well. Okay, so I'm back to this question. I was looking to something, and I think I missed your questions as well. Can you repeat or write it down, because I am unable to hear your voice clearly. There is some sort
sure,
of network drop. It would be better if you can
sure.
drop it over text. Well, can you